Hey there, welcome back. I'm the Fanatic, and in today's episode, we're talking about one of my personal favorite players in this upcoming class, Scoot Henderson. Now, he's been compared to guys like prime Chris Paul, prime Derrick Rose, prime Russell Westbrook, and with what he's doing in the G League and his super athleticism, you can definitely understand where those comparisons are coming from. This year, he's averaging 17, 5, and 6 in the G League. And honestly, I gotta say, I like what he's been doing. Now, his three-point shot hasn't come along as quickly as we would have liked to see. But he has the NBA mindset. He's the youngest American professional basketball player. And for me, personally, I think that he is the best American prospect we've seen since the days of high school players. And my reasoning for this is he's been training with professional level development since he was much younger than these other guys, which I think will serve him very well. But I did make that same argument when we were talking about Jalen Green. And for that reason, I'm a little hesitant to say that he will be successful. Part of why Jalen Green hasn't been successful in the league is he went to the Rockets. And the Rockets just haven't developed him the way that most teams could have. And that's a big thing for Scoot Henderson in my mind. If Scoot Henderson goes to the wrong team, we might see him unable to pick it up, unable to get over the hump. Now, obviously, he's not going to a team like Detroit. Detroit wouldn't draft him because they already have Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and Killian Hayes. Again, stop underrating Killian Hayes. I will have this rant another day, I promise. But Scoot Henderson is very, very good. He's very athletic. He has good passing skills. He has good rebounding. He's somebody that can definitely be a big-time impactor in the NBA. The thing I love about rim runners in the modern NBA, they really don't get guarded the same anymore. They were never really guarded well back in the old days in the 90s and the 80s either, because obviously you look at guys like Julius Erving, George Gervin, Michael Jordan. Like, the consistent factor throughout a lot of the good offensive guards in NBA history has been an ability to get to the rim. And it still applies today. Guys like Trae Young are still really good at finishing through traffic, getting up floaters. Guys like James Harden can finish at the rim. Guys like Kyrie know how to get around their defender and slither in for a finish. And that's really going to serve Scoot Henderson well if he can keep using his rim running game. The problem for me is, can he develop the shooting that he needs to space the floor? Because if you are not a high clip shooter, then they will feel no need to respect your shot, and a lot of the driving lanes will close up, which will force him into some shots sometimes. But it just scares me from the perspective of, if Scoot never develops his shot, at what point do they just clog the lanes on him? At what point do they play defense on everyone else on the perimeter and they just ignore Scoot? Because if that happens, then we're looking at a scary situation for Scoot, because there's already a defender in the paint ready for him, ready and waiting to block his shot. And while I trust that Scoot can get through the defender on a good amount of possessions, I gotta say, maybe he will end up like Jalen Green, where he's just not a consistent enough shooter. Because if that's what happens, then Scoot might never reach the all-star potential he has. He might never reach the all-NBA potential he has. Again, part of that problem is also NBA competition over the last few years has been increasing. Not so much on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball, players are taking a lot more threes. Players are making a lot more threes. Players are scoring a lot more per game. If you're not a 30-point per game scorer, you're not in the MVP conversation these days, which is mind-boggling. Honestly, you think Derrick Rose won his MVP averaging 25. You think Steve Nash won his MVPs averaging something like 18. And now the competition in the NBA is just so high that if you cannot consistently shoot, consistently and quickly be scoring a lot of buckets, you're going to fall behind your opponent. And that's really a problem, because even guys that are scoring in bunches really efficiently and trying to beat out their opponent, guys like Luka Doncic, who's averaging 30 this year, you look at the Mavs and they're not even in the playoffs. It's just not enough in the modern NBA. But there is hope. If Scoot Henderson can develop his shot, which while we have seen a little bit of doubt, if he can, this is easily one of the most dangerous players in the league, and I would easily say the most dangerous rim running guard today. I trust that Scoot Henderson will be a Dwayne Wade-esque player. That is my comparison for him, because I think that the athleticism he has, the tools he has, he can get up to being a De'Aaron Fox, Dwayne Wade caliber player. That's definitely in his potential. It's within reach. It's just a matter of how much time will it take him to get there, and will he be placed into a system that gives him the opportunity, the resources, and the correct coaching to get to that level. He's going to need to keep focusing on his rim running, to keep focusing on his defense, because without those, if his three-point shot doesn't come along, he's in trouble. But right now, for me, Scoot Henderson is good.